Is the mic on? Episode 120. What's wrong with Orny Adams? Well, first of all, thank you. It's good to be back at Big Yellow, where I have the privilege to broadcast to you from my Shasta, my yellow Shasta trailer. What's right with Orny Adams? That's what we should call this podcast. I don't think so. I went on vacation, and let me tell you something. I don't think I should be vacationing. Vacationing is for other people, not for me. I'll talk about that at the end. But while on vacation, I was with a group of people, wanted to get late night eating pizza. And we go to this place. It's like a beach town pizzeria. Walk in, and how long will it take to get a pie of cheese pizza? And it was going to take a bunch of time. And just at that moment, delivered to the pie by the slice section, a brand new cheese pizza. So the person I was with said, "Oh, could we get that? Could we just buy that pie?" And they said, "No, that's for by the slice." So we said, "Okay, we'll take 8 slices of that pie." And she said, "I need to ask my manager." I thought, is there a limitation? Is this like one of those, better order fast? There's only 2 per customer. Is there some sort of protocol that I'm not familiar with? Is there some sort of code in Pizza by the Slice that you can't order the entire pie? Is your manager into making money? Who cares who buys the 8 slices as long as they sell? Let's fire up that oven and get another pie in there, because we're about to buy 8 slices. We're about to do what your business plan wants. Buy all the slices of pizza. So I said, all right, how about this? How about you don't talk to your manager? My friend here, he's going to buy 4 slices, and I'm going to buy 4 slices. Is that beyond the limit? This is what the world's come to.
Like a tattoo. Gets under your skin.
That's Longhorn, Leghorn. They're going to listen to this gothy version of I'm bringing this way down of What's Wrong with Orny Adams.
He's got crazy hair. He's got great big eyes.
Had a gang, son. Joke, that is.
What's his name, Sid? Orny.
There you go. That's from El Sancho and Sticky Doll. Now, El Sancho and Sticky Doll were at my show at the Ice House in Pasadena. He's the guy I make fun of in the front row for having a Leghorn tattoo on his both of his forearms. Anyway, they sent me this, and they sent a nice email that said, "Thanks again for your awesome show at the Ice House in Pasadena. Specifically, the fun interaction we had about the tattoos of Foghorn Leghorn. I listen, watch your podcast faithfully, and totally relate to all the frustrations with technology, customer service. You can add now buying pizza by the slice, and everything about yourself. We have our own comedy podcast as well as a band, and they're over there in Joshua Tree. So check out their podcast, and thank you for doing that. And anybody can cover this theme. Just go to what'swrong@ornyadams.com. I'm still on tour. They haven't completely kicked me out of the industry yet. It's about to happen. I'm about to age out. I was watching a kid when I was on vacation, watching TikTok, and I'm fascinated by how kids consume. It's actually depressing. But it's interesting what they stop on and don't stop on, and how long they give it a chance. But we are cue up mass ADD and diabetes for the future. Forget about global warming. We got some bigger problems. But I will be back doing stand-up comedy August 15th at the Comedy Magic Club in Hermosa Beach. This is, obviously one of my favorite clubs. I've been playing there for years. One of the first clubs that really gave me a shot when I moved out here, put me on the schedule anytime I asked, let me warm up every time I did a Tonight Show. I love them there. I love the owner, Mike Lacey. I love Rich Barrett, who books it. So I'll be there August 15th. I hope you come out. August 30th through September 1st, I will be at a new club I've never been to in Arizona, Desert Ridge, Arizona. Everybody's like, when are you coming back to Arizona? When are you coming to Phoenix or Scottsdale? Well, I'm going to be there. I'm within miles in this town I've never heard of called Desert Ridge. But I know It's near Phoenix because you fly into Phoenix Airport. September 5th, I'll be back in Vegas, the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club. I'm there at the end of September, I think the 19th and 20th. I'm there in October. I'm there in November, Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club. And September 14th, just added a couple of days ago. You can be one of the first to buy tickets. I'll be at the Ice House in Pasadena, California. What a wonderful headline. A neighbor forwarded me last night. 82 arrested, 2,000 pounds of copper wire seized by LAPD's heavy metal task force. Who knew? Who knew Los Angeles had a heavy metal task force? Who knew the problem had gotten that bad that we had a task force? You heard me talk about it on previous podcasts. You've maybe seen me do it on stage, talking about walking in on the burglars stealing the copper wire from my neighborhood, which carries my Wi-Fi and cable. So you're out for like a week. And they've been stealing it, and then it gets sold. It's remarkable. The amount of crime. I was blissfully unaware of how much crime there was in the world until people carried phones and could report all the time. There's a bunch of reporting going on, and documentaries and streamers. There's a million streamers now, which excites me. We're not down to being dependent on one. I'm watching documentaries all over the place, and I'll talk about a bunch of them today. Yes, I will. But in a massive downtown raid, members of the Los Angeles Police Department's Heavy Metal Task Force arrested 82 people and seized 2,000 pounds of stolen copper wire, according to city leaders. Formed earlier this year, the Heavy Metal Task Force, I could say that all day, which includes members of the city's Bureau of Street Lighting. What they're doing is they're stealing all the copper that goes to the street lighting. There's this bridge, the 6th Street Bridge, and stole all the lighting. And now neighborhoods where there are parks and bridges and kids playing are in the dark. Well, that's coming to an end because the Heavy Metal Task Force is shutting it down. This is what a representative, Councilman Kevin DeLeon said. The city of Los Angeles is no longer your ATM machine. That's right. Stop stealing my cable wires. Then I can't work. Wire theft is not a victimless crime, Parks said. According to city officials, they've spent tens of millions of dollars on repairing damage caused by these thieves, many of whom use handsaws. Remember, when I talked about it, I heard the and I was going to approach them with my megaphone, but then I thought, I don't want to get shot. I don't want to get shot. It's a scary world. And then I found out that they were giving a $5,000 reward if he caught them. I just read that in the article. If I'd known that, I would have asked for the $5,000. Anyway, so I'm glad. Oh, Pasadena was offering $10,000, leading to the capture and conviction. Well, you know, they always put that conviction in there. That's a long shot. That's a long shot. So I'm going to risk my life helping capture one of these thieves. And yet, my $10,000 hinges on whether the district attorney decides to prosecute and whether we get a conviction. That's a lot, Pasadena. Hey, Pasadena, $10,000, not a lot of money to the city of Pasadena. How about if we even just capture these people and deter these people? Anyway, that's a beautiful headline. That makes me happy. Lots of emails from people. And by the way, if you want to do the theme song or send an email, it's what'swrong@ornyadams.com. And I have a ton going back a few weeks. And I got one about love from a pastor. And I'll read that towards the end. The guy really, really nailed it. Really nailed it. This was exciting for me. A guy, some doctor, took my, you know why I don't eat meat? You know that video I did? I should have played it. But I just put it up on social. It's from my More Than Loud special. And it's all about, I don't eat meat because you know what's in the word meat? Eat. Meat, the word's actually me eat. And I talk about vegans. And what's in the word vegan? Vegetables again. So a guy, this meat eating doctor guy, put it up in the corner of one of his videos and was eating meat and sort of laughing along with it. And I got a kick out of that. And I thought, wow, this is it. This guy's he's got a lot of followers. Here we go. Here we go. People are repurposing my videos and putting them out there. Here goes my career. Remember, that's what I say all the time. I always think, when I did the Tonight Show the first time, I thought, that just bought me a house. Here we go. 20 years later, I'm doing a podcast on my own in a Shasta trailer in my backyard. So here we don't go. Yeah, anybody take my stuff. That helps because it's now been seen, 70,000 times in a few hours on that guy's site. And that might lead to other people and other excitement. And then I like that part of the internet. I don't like what I'm going to call the tattletaling. Like I just saw one of an elderly couple yelling at a family and that were trying to get in the elevator at the airport in Seattle. And, the elderly couple, they weren't particularly nice. And they did say, get out of my country. And maybe I shouldn't use this as an example. But, you may have caught them at a bad point. Although they shouldn't have said that about get out of the country. But I just think we need to stop recording people, stop taking pictures of people and mocking them. Jeez, like who wants to leave the house where there's a threat? I talked about on stage, I didn't really articulate it very well, but I said I'm a little concerned about being in the background of a video. That, some girl goes missing and then they're like, who's the creep in the background? I bet he did it. Which is what sort of happened to Morbid. The guy I interviewed, the death metal guy that got accused in that Cecil Hotel documentary of killing that girl when it turned out he wasn't even in the hotel on the dates when she was killed. That's what the internet, it's nasty. It's a bunch of mean girls. That's how I would describe it. It's a bunch of mean girls. Where's the rest of my notes here? Because I wrote that, and I hope I didn't in the notes just write mean girls. I wish I had. I hope I have another thought that I'm searching for. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, the internet, just mean girls. That's all I wrote. Well, it is. It is. It's a lot of tattletaling. It's a lot of like people reporting on other people. Like, why don't we go back to minding our own business? And if that is your business, I've been yelled at before by people in public. I don't need to expose them and ruin their life. If you see somebody that I saw one of an obese person and they were making fun of that. This is a human being. Okay? Comedy's great. But it isn't victimless. And I've done this before in my past. In fact, I know maybe at the beginning I put up some stuff that I wouldn't put up now. But I've become aware that there's a face behind all these people. And why expose and ruin somebody's life? I'll tell you why. They're doing it for clicks. They're exploiting a low point in somebody's life for their own popularity. And I'm telling you, that's a degree of selling your soul to the devil. And it makes me not want to leave the house. And it makes me not trust people. And I have trouble trusting people in general, which I'll talk about later because of just being in Hollywood, being in this business, being in this lifetime. Where are all my pens? Oh, somebody, when I was away, came in here and stole all my pens, apparently. Okay. So this is the last paragraph. El Sancho and Sticky Doll, the ones that did that theme that I just played at the beginning. They said, we live in Joshua Tree. We look forward to seeing you at the Brea Improv in September. I think I'm there in October. If I'm there in September, I'm in trouble. And making the drive to Vegas to see another show when we can, which is great. So anyway, is technology... Here's just an overall question. I know the answer. Boy, that trash truck has to get its brakes fixed. It's just squeaky. All right. So, does a two-parter about technology, because I've been fascinated with technology my entire life. In fact, if you watch my specials, there's a lot of crossover talk about technology. I just, when I was a kid, I had a computer. I bought I bought a VIC-20. I still have it in my attic, a Commodore VIC-20. And it didn't even come with a screen. I had to buy a black and white TV to attach it to. In fact, I don't want to stand up, but I brought back from Boston, I was just there a couple of weeks, during this vacation, an alarm clock from when I was a kid. And I saw it, and I'm not kidding. The batteries still work. I haven't used that thing in 30, 40 years. And I remember the alarm. And I set the alarm, and it still goes dee-dee-dee-dee, 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 dee-dee-dee-dee. So I've been fascinated with technology my whole life. I had a computer from a young age, and I think technology reached a point where it's making our lives worse. And I'll explain. First of all, it's more difficult. It's more time consuming. It's distancing us from other people. I thought the amount of information we would have would lead us to be smarter, but there's so much misinformation that it's the opposite. So people are getting dumber because the information for the dumb is as available as the information for the smart, which is correct. So the dumb are in some sort of dumb heap of dumbness, getting dumber. And they should all be thrown in that trash truck. All the misinformation should be thrown in that trash truck with its shitty brakes. What is that, trash truck moving into the neighborhood? Pick up a can and move on. Technology is so time consuming. It's being used as a weapon to take down ordinary people that have a weak moment. You have a weak moment in the parking lot. How about these people that are tracking people not returning their shopping carts in the parking lot? Who cares? Yeah, this is what I say. Leave it wherever the hell you want, because that creates jobs for some kid to go pick up the carts and put it away. We're going to tell on people for everything. I feel like we're being recorded nonstop. There's women at the gym recording themselves. God forbid you glance. Now you're the creepy old guy glancing. I don't know what happened. I watch old movies, old TV shows. I'm watching Magnum PI, Hawaii Five-0 now. People seem to live without looking at a phone all the time, without having their mind on a phone. You ever stop and look around in public and everybody's on a phone? Isn't that depressing? And I think technology, it's supposed to make our lives easier, but I think it's the opposite. I think they use technology as an excuse to make us work more. The perfect example is self-checkout. Well, now they have the technology, you do it. Before, somebody else had to check out. Now, you do it. You can even take your own credit card. You can pay. It's on the honor system. Yeah, we trust you. Boy, that experiment failed. Then here's the other one. Parking. When I was in Maine, I was in a Gunkwit. There's no parking attendant anymore. It's just a machine. So I put my credit card in, and I put the license plate, and I put 2 hours, and it said, would you like a receipt? I said, yes. I go to put in my cell phone or email. It crashes. It goes back to the first screen. Now I'm stuck wondering. I have no receipt. I have no proof that I paid. Did I pay? So what do? I go back on, put in the license plate, and I think the same hours, and I think, well, this computer has to be smart enough to know that that license plate has already been input for 2 hours in this parking zone, and it will say you already paid for 2 hours. Nope. Took my money. Well, I then looked on my American Express app. I've been charged twice, $15 twice. So now I find this central parking area with an attendant that does, and I asked him, and he said, you got to fill out this. I fill out this hand form with all the information. He signs it and verifies it, right? Then I go on the app, and I submit a complaint to the app. The app writes back a few hours later, hey, we just collect the money. I'm like, you just collect the money? Well, are you able to look on the app and see that I paid twice for the same license plate? We just collect the money. Nobody's accountable. We just collect the money. And so finally, yesterday, I had to call American Express, and I got it reversed. That's a lot of work for $15. So technology is not making my life easier. It's making it harder. In the old days, I would just hand the guy a 20. He'd hand me 5 back, and I'd go park. But technology, my whole house is on my phone. So if I want to turn a light on, I go to my phone. The old days, you used to walk up to a wall, turn a light on. So I'm sure I could think of several examples of where technology and our dependency on it, meaning like when they steal the copper wires and I don't have internet or TV, you used to just pull out a board game and play Sorry. Now, you have a fit. Like somebody took the booze away from you, the bottle. Oh, God. Realize this on vacation. I'm afraid to eat cherries because I'm at that age where, I might forget that there's still a pit in my mouth and I might choke. What does this line mean? Disengage like a rock, working with the food around. Disengage, I don't even know what that means. I love when I don't even know my own notes. Also realize on vacation I'm not very good with kids. I don't have kids. I've never had kids. And sometimes I forget and I call for them like a dog. I go, come on, come here, let's go. Lunch, let's go, let's go. Oh, boy. Here's, now that's the trash picking up my last trash can. So now I have to worry that while I'm doing this podcast, somebody is depositing a bag of their dog feces in my empty can. Somebody wrote me an email about this. Where's that? Okay, here we go. This is from Stan. Hello, Orny. I listened to your podcast. Actually, I went back to your first one and I listened to all of them. Most of them are great. Little emoji. Most, yeah. And they wrote, oops, just remember you hate emojis. Ha, yeah, I do. I decided to contact you because leave the comedy to me, Stan! I decided to contact you because I feel your pain. I live in Houston and we recently had a hurricane. Because of this, recycling pickup has been sporadic. I put my recycling bin out this week and it didn't get picked up. I left the bin out for a couple of days hoping it would get picked up, but it didn't. Today I went out to bring it back in until the next week and I smelled something awful. I opened the bin and some a-hole put 2 bags of dog shit in the full recycle bin. Well, that's the wrong bin to put dog shit in. Guess I'll need to set up cameras and make a sign. That's right, Stan, that's what I did. I caught a woman, confronted the woman. She never took full responsibility. Said she picked it up. I have it on camera not picking it up. Talked about it in the last episode. But as I was walking around the neighborhood yesterday, I see a lot of people with these please clean up after your dog sign on the edge of their property, which means somebody let their dog go to the bathroom at the edge of the property and then didn't pick it up. So they put up a sign. I say this, and I thought, should I get a professional sign? Then I thought, wait a minute, these people don't care. They don't care enough to pick it up when there wasn't a sign. Do you think the sign will prevent somebody? Will remind? Oh, that's right. I'm supposed to pick up after my dog. Oh, that's right. I would have forgotten. No, these are horrible people that took on the responsibility of a dog that doesn't know better. A dog can't take a crap and pick up after it. Although somebody should train the dog to do that. That would be a good start. We got them sniffing for drugs and stuff. How about they pick up after their own crap? Thank you for that email, and and I hope that I hope your house is okay, Stan. This one is this woman is 93 years old. Her name is Helen, and she wrote in talking about she calls it my anger, but and how I get worked up, and that she likes it, and that the world needs it. She said, "So, dear Orny, I thank you for your work on behalf of all of us who get it or need it as you intend." And she wrote a bunch of drafts, and they somehow got lost on the computer. She's 93. You can understand. Her name's Helen, how that happens. But she didn't know what ding dong ditch is. And I thought, how do you not know that? In fact, she wrote it as one word. So ding dong ditch is when you go up to somebody's house, like in the middle of the night, you ring the doorbell, wake them up, and then you run and watch from afar the frustration of the homeowner. And now that I'm a homeowner, I don't think it's that funny. But she wrote, Helen, back in the 60s, I think a form of therapy was called psychodrama was introduced. It's actually in the 20s. The finest example of it was used on a comedy when Sammy Davis Jr., boy, does this date you, as a guest on a weekly family show, stormed in after a rough day, complaining loudly and at a great length about everything that had gone wrong in a high dungeon, whatever that is, pacing and marching, hurling his arms, yelling and acting it all out while his friends just stood there with amazed faces. Usually Sam acted cool, but not now. Afterwards, though, he registered relief. There was no mention that this was the very method which was being currently used by shrinks. Oh, can you call them shrinks anymore? They used to call them shrinks, that's right. Because they used to shrink your head. Shrinks. Oh, so I don't know what psychodrama is. As far as I'm concerned, they come out with new diets and new therapies every year. And I don't know. People are just always going to be messed up, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can try and make yourself better, but the little voices, the little things that drive you nuts in life are always going to creep in. Like I'm obsessed with the stock market. Anybody that knows me knows I follow the market religiously by the minute, which is not healthy. It's a bad habit, especially when you're on vacation and the NASDAQ, all the tech stocks are tanking and you're having a panic attack. Today, everything's up, or was when I started. Who knows what could happen? Who knows? Somebody could start another war. It could all just go down. Somebody could say one thing and it rattles the market. So I'm obsessed. So no matter what I do, even on vacation, it sneaks in, just comes in. So I looked up this psychodrama thing. Where is it? I got notes all over the place. I got notes all over the place. Psychodrama is a structured form of therapy in which a person dramatizes a personal problem or conflict, usually in front of a group or other therapy participants. The other participants usually take part in the drama, though each performance focuses on a single person's concerns. Jacob L. Moreno, a Viennese psychiatrist and psychotherapist, developed psychodrama. Whoa, with the psychos! Psychiatrist, psychotherapist, psychodrama. Why doesn't he just say king of the psych? In the 1920s. He did this in the 1920s. Since then, several practitioners have developed new approaches to psychodrama. Though the approach is resolving an individual's issue in a group setting remains. Sorry, let me reread that. Though the approach to resolving an individual's issues is in a group setting remains. You know what? I didn't read that wrong. It's written wrong. Psychodrama may be one part of a larger treatment program, or may be the primary or sole treatment modality. It aims to foster empathy, help a person see themselves as others see them, support a person to work through challenging emotions, help a person resolve psychological issues from trauma and relationship conflicts. I don't know what to say. I just it's acting out. It sounds like what most stand-ups do on stage. Resolve issues and get it out. And it's good to get it out. That's why I do a podcast called What's Wrong with Orny Adams in a Shasta trailer with dump trucks making a nice soundtrack in the background. That's why it's called What's Wrong with Orny Adams. I like to talk about what bothers me. I don't get people that keep it in. Drives me nuts. Get it out. Say it. Say it. Even if you regret it later, say it. Work these things out verbally, in your brain verbally, real time. Get it out. Complain about shit. Complain about stuff until it gets better. That's what's wrong with Orny Adams. That's why I did this podcast. That's what I did my whole life. I complained about things, and it works for me. A little hard now when we live in a world where everybody's complaining. And I say, leave the complaining to me, the professional. I know what I'm doing. Let's go through some more emails from viewers. This is from Maisie. I shouldn't have said the name because that is a unique name. Even though, and by the way, if you want to contact me, the email is what'swrong@ornyadams.com. What'swrong@ornyadams.com. No apostrophe S. What's wrong on ornyadams.com. Even though I discovered you quite a few years ago, I only recently discovered you had a podcast. I'm starting from the very beginning because that's where you start reading a book. So I just heard you say, never in my entire life have drugs magically appeared around my penis. I guess we can thank the state of Florida for that sentence. I don't remember saying that, but that's funny. It must have been a story I was reading where somebody, drugs appeared around their person's penis, and they use it as a defense that they didn't know the drugs were around their penis. Saw you in Las Vegas. Love your comedy and your podcast. Don't worry about your station in life. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. You got to be kidding me. I'm where I'm supposed to be? You're exactly where you're supposed to be. You make a difference in the lives of a lot of people. Well, thank you. Thank you, M. And I appreciate that. And I have to remind myself of that. I am getting a lot more emails and correspondence from people reminding me of this, and I appreciate it. My question is, who is there to, quote, make a difference in my life? Who's going to make me laugh? Who's going to give me a break? This one is from Sheila. I'm drinking my coffee and listening to your podcast, Orny and Ken repair things. I have to say, amen, brother. That's right. Amen, Orny. And when I hear your story about going back to the store to look for a missing part for your toilet that wasn't included in your purchase, remind me of this story. My mother bought a new toilet and had to have it installed. It was missing the toilet seat. Now, I would say that's a big part to be missing. I would say somebody should have noticed that. I would go out on a limb to say it was probably purchased previously by somebody else who just needed the toilet seat and then returned it. And then the lazy store just put it back on the shelf rather than looking to see if all the parts were there. There is so much buying and returning, buying and returning, buying and returning, buying and returning that nobody can keep up with the pace. And stuff, I get stuff all the time shipped to me, and stuff that you can tell it's been used. In fact, I saw a story that this couple in India had this business making diapers for children and selling them on Amazon. And somebody returned a package of the diapers, and one of them was dirty, soiled from a kid. They returned a dirty diaper. And that ended up in a review. And that destroyed their entire business and livelihood. So there's too much taken back and returning. So she continues, Sheila. We called the store and was given the toll-free number for the manufacturer. Now, why, if you just bought it from the store, do you have to deal with the manufacturer? The store should fix the problem. Called and spoke to an employee in another country. That's common. Was promised a new toilet seat. Right after several calls, we still didn't get the toilet seat. So my 87-year-old mother went to the local store and bought a new toilet seat. I don't give in. First thing I would have done is I would have just returned the toilet seat. Why was it, the minute they noticed there was no toilet seat, or I would have done what the other people did. Bought a new one, took the toilet seat, returned it, and just said, this is the first one I bought that came with no toilet seat. Enjoy it. I'm not contacting the manufacturer. Fix your store. Unless, of course, it was completely sealed and came from the manufacturer without a toilet seat, which I cannot imagine. I call this story a whole lot of crap. And she continues, which brings up another irritating thing. Why are so many elderly people so stubborn? Well, I can see that. Anyway, she tells a personal story about trying to be around her mother. I won't share that. But I've a cousin, and she's in her 90s, went to visit her last week. The most optimistic person I ever met, always. I was like, how are you this optimistic? Like, my entire life, I've never seen you be negative. How are we in the same family? And I just, some people just have a sunny disposition. Boy, it's truck day. Eric, you got your work cut out for you, getting rid of those noises. Here's one more email I want to read. And this comes from a pastor. Listen to that truck. Ba, 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 ba. Guess I can't do a podcast on this day because trash pickup. But I've been away for 2 weeks on vacation. And I shouldn't vacation. And I'm going to get into that at the end. The email to contact me is what's wrong at ornyadams.com. Let me just see if you can really hear this truck. Yeah, you can really hear it. Listen to that. Oh, this is just such a piece of shit podcast with all the background noise. You can hear kids yelling and the dump truck. Soon you'll hear the tour buses announcing fake neighbors, fake famous neighbors they think I have, pointing at big houses. I give up. I just give up. I woke up early to do this podcast so I could go to the gym because I haven't been to the gym in a couple of weeks and I feel big and I'm doing the Adam Carolla podcast in a week and he always makes me look fatter than I really am with his lighting and crappy camera angles. And I just can't win. I just can't win in my life. But according to Sheila, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Or this, not Sheila, I am where I'm supposed to be. I've thought that before. I don't deserve more. Let's put some sad music under this. Hear those kids yelling in the background? That was me once. I was once running around yelling for no reason, annoying neighbors. Now I'm the annoyed neighbor. Life changes fast. Where's the joy anymore? Oh, to be a kid. To be a kid. I should just be happy those kids aren't looking at a device. This is from a pastor, clergyman. Sorry, is there a difference? I'm sure there is. Named Larry. Dear Orny, I was thinking about times I've seen family and friends rescue a bad marriage. Now, I don't know why he's sending me this. I never discussed being in a bad marriage or bad relationship, but he sent me this. And I really relate. I think it's profound. And I'm glad he said it. And I'm glad I'm able to discuss it. Okay. Taking a sip of my green juice. Everyone's fascinated with my green juice. Dear Orny, I was thinking about the times I've seen family and friends rescue a bad marriage. And that brings to mind the inclination of many of us to try and fix things or fix people. Can't tell you how many women I've dated that just tried to fix me. They all failed. Unfixable. Much of the time, people and things are better when we don't try and fix them. It's a natural order of things. Let it be. A friend of mine allowed himself to be hounded into a marriage he wasn't ready for. I find a lot of people get married that shouldn't get married, that don't know better, that think it will get better. Once we get married, we won't fight as much. He'll give me the attention I want. She'll do this. Once we get married, then that doesn't happen. Well, once we have a kid, I'm watching a Frontline on PBS about these families that followed for 30 years. It's heartbreaking. These poor families just, no matter what they do, they can't keep a job, they can't make rent, or they just want to own a house, they just want a piece of the American dream. They're not greedy like me. They don't think they deserve more, expect more. They don't work, they work so hard, and then to see their kids suffer similar fates, or some of the kids actually went on and went to college, the first people in their family. Some of them were the first people in their family to graduate high school. But it's heartbreaking to see people struggle so much. And one of the couples ended up divorced. That's why I brought this up. Because you get married, things don't get better usually, they get worse. Once you get hit with financial problems, perhaps infidelity, there's many things that can go wrong. Kids that cause a rift. There's a lot. Life is stressful. I'm going to continue with Larry's email. I don't know the details of how he was hounded into a marriage. Maybe Larry will get into it. I read this. He sent me this first week of July. And I read it and I said, I love this. And I'm just reading it again for the first time. My brother was in a toxic marriage. He was ready to leave, had his bags packed and in the back of his truck. Our dad saw the suitcases in the truck at the local gas station and talked him out of leaving. He was forever sealed into a bad marriage. He was trapped like a fly in amber or like a cat in Pompeii. I didn't know we had cats trapped in Pompeii. I have to go back and look at the pictures. Have you ever, with the best intentions, saved a bad relationship? I bail. Cooks try to save bad recipes. Cleaners try to cover up noxious odors. Coffee drinkers add stuff to overcome bitter brew. And how about trying to fix a bad marriage? A whole topic could be our common desire to fix things. Good intentions, bad results. How many women have married a guy believing she can fix them? I just said it. People aren't going to change. It will only get worse. I talk about this. I give an example on stage, dating a woman that wore ear plugs when she slept. And how I asked her if we could work towards not wearing them, that I felt disconnected. And you'll have to come to see my show at one of the locations I discussed at the beginning. By the way, ornyadams.com/tour for all my dates. I just found out that a group of 22 people are renting a minivan and coming to see my show in Port Charlotte, Florida in October. How cool is that? People are renting minivans like they're going to go to a sporting event to come see me. How about, Larry continues, how about fixing one thing with unintended results or causing a new problem, and how about fixing one thing with the unintended result of causing a new problem? These are all really deep. I have this to say. I believe in marriage. My parents are married. I think they have better lives. I think they're going to live longer. They have grandkids. They have me. The joy I bring my parents, just myself, it will add years to their lives. I have a beautiful family. I believe in that marriage. I don't believe anybody I met in my past was right for me to marry. I would get married if I met the right person that understood my temperament and could make my life easier as I make her life easier. It was symbiotic. If it would be perfect. The other thing is I was so career driven, I forgot to get married. I forgot to have kids. And it brings me a little bit of sadness, if I'll be honest, that I skipped that part of my life. But it's not over yet. None of it's over. I get reminded daily that I'm still young, mostly by people that are 115 years old. I don't feel so young anymore. My body doesn't feel so young. My mind doesn't feel so young. I want that feeling back. So yeah, people also, Larry, buy into this idyllic version of love, which is presented to us by the media, by greeting cards, by movies, by TV shows, the guy running to the girl in the airport, the girl that saves the guy that does this, just doesn't work that way. I look around and see a lot of miserable people trapped in miserable relationships and don't know how to get out. And usually it involves a kid. And it's not easy. And I have a lot of friends that talk to me and say, being alone is not a bad thing. There's a lot of advantages that you have that I don't have, and maybe you're meant to be alone. Some people are meant to be alone, but I have friends that are older. I've talked to them, so I'm not saying anything I haven't said to them. And it's a sadness. I feel sad. I felt sad when my friend Gary Shandling died, 66, alone. Had to call 911 on himself. So I do believe love exists. But I think there's an easier version of love. And I feel bad for your brother, Larry, because people will say, why don't you see a therapist? You can work it out. It isn't that bad. Hey, they'll give examples. Hey, your mom and I, we went through rough periods and we worked it out. And, life is too short. It's too short. You got to do what's in your best interest. Is this a comedy podcast? I forgot again. I absolutely forgot. You know what? I'm going to do a psychodrama. I'm going to do an acting out of Larry's brother in a bad relationship. A couple things before I talk about my vacation. Saw some great documentaries. Saw one on the plane called Holy Frit. It's about a guy that was an artist that took on a stained glass job for a church, making the biggest stained glass window ever made. And he took on the job not having the capabilities to do it, which I think is remarkable. A bit of a con man. He said, he did a design and the technology wasn't really there. Like, I guess stained glass is like, there's one section that's one full color and then it's got lead in between it, like a lead piece, and then another color. He was doing like a blended color and it couldn't be done. Although there was one place that had figured out a way to do this, and he had to hire this artist, and it was a whole documentary about how they do it and how they're almost didn't get it done. But I thought it was an interesting window into stained glass windows. It was an interesting window into a world that I wasn't familiar with. That's what I love about documentaries. And there is something beautiful about stained glass. And I like the traditional version better than what they were doing, which was blended. Like, Jesus's face had too many colors in it. For me, I like sections. I like the look of stained glass. Don't I have something stained glass in here? Oh, this sunbeam thing. This is a good example. So see this vintage. This was bought at some time at Woolworth, out of business, for $1.59. Great deal as far as I'm concerned. Never been opened. If anybody wants to send me $50,000, I'll sign it. So we see how each section is a singular color. I like that. I really do. You gotta see all these ants over here. I don't know if you can see all the ants in the you can't. Maybe in this one. Maybe you can. I don't know if you can see all those ants, but they are. They've infested my house, too. It's bad ant season. Bad ant season, which is probably global warming. Then I watched this Rich and Famous documentary. It's like a series. And I just watched one on this guy, this boxing promoter. I'll read you the description that was on the internet. In the late 80s, boxing meant money, glitz, and glamour, and Rick Elvis Parker was a hustler looking to get in on the action. This is a tragic story of how Parker pushed journeyman boxer Tim Anderson to take a dive against former NFL star Mark Gastineau. When Anderson refused, everyone paid the price. I'll tell you the story, and this is what makes me go, you know what? Why am I playing by the rules? Why don't I buy views and buy followers? Why don't I rig the system? I've never rigged the system. I thought you play by the rules, the system rewards you. I was wrong. So what happened was, Rick, I guess in boxing, it's known, I didn't know this, that you always want to find a white guy that can beat a black guy. I didn't realize race played such a big part. So they found Mark Gastineau, this guy Rick Elvis Parker. He was a former football player. He retires, wants to be a boxer, and so he has to, in order to do the championship bout, has to win, I think, 11 knockouts in a row. So what does Parker do? He starts getting this guy matches that he can win easily, and he pays the other people to take a dive. So the guy wins nine fights in a row that he shouldn't have won, and he has no idea that they're being fixed behind his back. He doesn't know this. So he's probably full of confidence. He's probably like, I'm Mark Gastineau. I was this great football player. I can do anything. I can box. In fact, next week I'm going to be a stand-up comic, because that's where they all end up. Everybody ends up being a stand-up comic because it's so easy. So then he gets everyone's like, listen, he's not going to get the championship fight if you keep putting him up against these chumps. That's a good boxing word, these chumps. So he gets this guy, Tim Anderson, who's a journeyman boxer. He fought, some of the big guys. And this guy, Tim Anderson, knocks him out. Just knocks him out. So, and by the way, before that fight, according to Tim, Rick Parker offered him $500,000 or $500,000 to throw the fight. He refused it because he has integrity. Guys like me. He loved the sport. Wouldn't soil the sport by throwing a match. Yeah. So now he's offered a rematch. He's offered all this money to rematch to fight Gastineau again. He goes, I'm not going to lose to this guy. In no world. I'm a real fighter. Shows up for the fight. It's out of town. It's in this one city like Kansas where there's no sanctioned boxing matches there. The ref is suspect. His cornermen didn't make their flight for some reason. They didn't have a flight. They didn't get into that, but that's strange. So he's got some four people that he's never worked with before in his corner. These are the guys that give you advice. These are the guys that can call a fight and go, it's over. He didn't have anything. He had no support. And they gave him a cup of water. He's like, where's my water container? Where's my thing? And they said, we don't know where it is. Just drink this. And he's like, why is it sweet? And like, we just put a little sugar in there to give you energy. He goes, no, I don't need sugar in my water. Where's my water? Anyway, he drinks it, and he was poisoned. He was drugged. And he got up, he was all loopy, and you can see the difference because somebody filmed it from far back. This is before this was in the 80s. 80s and early 90s. So this is before everyone had a camera and would film. Somebody bootlegged it, and they actually had a copy of it. You can see it's like a totally different fighter. He was drugged. Then they tried to take him to a hospital. You can hear somebody in the crowd, get him to the hospital, because he got knocked out. He got clean knocked out by Mark Gastineau, and he shouldn't have. But it's because he was drugged, and he's out. And Rick, the promoter, said, no, don't take him to a hospital. We'll take care of it. They brought him into the locker room, and they just put him on the floor and left him. And if it wasn't a janitor who was working the weekend, no one would have found him until Monday. He probably would have been dead. Found him with vomit all over himself, and saved his life. And he'd been poisoned. He got poisoned because he wouldn't throw the fight. And then he was sick, gained weight, couldn't get the poison out of his system. He just wanted to know what he was poisoned with. So he met Rick. He said, meet me in a hotel. I want to talk to you. And Rick's like, we're going to get you back into boxing. The bullshit. And he said, you poisoned me. What did you do? And also, I should have mentioned, Tim had a sister that was handicapped. And Rick said, threatened him early on. He said, if you don't throw this fight, I'm gonna hurt your sister, who's in a wheelchair, and I'm gonna hurt her kids. And somebody went to his house and showed him a picture of his kids and threatened him right there. Said, throw the fight, play the game. He didn't want to play the game. So you don't play the game, what happens? Gets poisoned, and the poison's still in his body. So he confronts Rick, just wants to know, what did you do to me? Could you just tell me? Because the doctors say, if you tell me what kind of poison is in me, they can help me. And Rick says, I don't know what you're talking about. And he said, listen, I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna go to the authorities. And Rick said, you do that, I'm gonna hurt your sister. And Tim pulled out a gun and shot him, killed him. It's like, how many documentaries can I watch with crime? It's crazy. It's a fascinating story. It's a fascinating story of system working within the system, corruption. There's so much corruption. Watch the Dirty Pop documentary on Lou Pearlman and the boy bands, the guy who had NSYNC, the Backstreet Boys, and O-Town. And watch this documentary. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. Somehow, too, Lou Pearlman is related to Art Garfunkel, who wants nothing to do with Lou Pearlman, who's now dead, because, when Lou Pearlman died, they contacted Art to take the body. He said, no, thank you. No, thank you. Anyway, it's a fascinating story about how this guy had the biggest bands, but where did the money come from to do this? And it turns out he was running a bank fraud. He was running a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme. Okay? Something called Transcontinental Airlines. That was the name of his company. He said, we're going to give you 8%. Put your money in our bank. We're going to give you 8% higher than anybody else. It's FDIC insured. He put the logo up there. In fact, it's insured by Lloyd of London Insurance, and it wasn't. Made it up. Reminds me of that documentary about the infidelity website where they were like, this is safe and secure. What was Ashley Madison? Remember that on the bottom of their website? They had all the icons that made it seem like it couldn't be hacked, and then they got hacked. Well, listen, what I'm saying is, if something says FDIC insured, it doesn't mean it's FDIC insured. Listen, stop with these risky investments. Just go to a big banking institution, give them your money, take 4.5% now, or whatever they're giving for CDs or treasuries. Stop. You'll lose. It's not worth losing your money. This guy, Pearlman, made I think he Ponzi'd $500 million. 2,000 people were scammed over 30 years. It was the longest Ponzi scheme in history. I read that and I said, wait a minute. Well, hold the accolades. What about Bernie Madoff? Well, Bernie Madoff was the largest Ponzi scheme in history. He defrauded thousands of investors out of an estimated $65 billion, making this Perlman guy look like a chump. Chump, my new word. And it lasted 17 years. He died in prison too. I love when they go to prison. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful when you read a headline like this? 82 arrested, 2,000 pounds of copper wire seized by the great LAPD's heavy metal task force. Imagine that. You go into law enforcement, you put on the heavy metal. Hey, I'm ready to stop some big crime. I'm going to shut down some big crime. You're going to be chasing copper wire. What? It's not why I went into law enforcement. Anyway, watch this Dirty Pop. It's really, really interesting. Now, I want to thank everybody who's been tuning in. I want to thank the people on my Patreon that, work with me. They understand I'm gone for 2 weeks, and I appreciate it. You can also watch the older episodes on YouTube, and you can watch my specials. You can come see one of my stand-up shows. But I had a hell of a vacation. Went home to see my parents and my family, which I'm so fortunate to have. I'm so fortunate because my parents, they get me like nobody else. They really understand me. And it really feels good to have two people in the world that really understand me. Everybody else, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't get me. They get me. I think you get me. Everyone gets me on some levels, but they really get me. I'm lucky. So I went on vacation. And it was, I was in Boston. I saw my family. I saw Great Gatsby, the play. And that's what I want to say about Lou Pearlman. This guy, he was like throwing these lavish parties, and he popped these bands. Everybody wanted to be his friend. He was at the politicians in his pocket. You see this lavish lifestyle, jets, all this stuff, right? He died. 5 people went to his funeral. 5 people. Let that be a lesson. Measure your success. When you die, count the number of people at your funeral. That's when you know if you made it. Lou Pearlman, guy dies, 5 people at his funeral. It's like the Great Gatsby. I remembered about the Great Gatsby. That's what I remembered. The Gatsby guy threw these great parties. Everybody wanted to be around Gatsby until he was dead. Nobody went to his funeral. Measure your success by the people that are upset when you die. And I'll tell you this, you put me in your will, I'm going to be very upset when you die. I'm going to be happy I'm in your will, but at the same time, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that. So I go on vacation. I went to Boston's family. Then I went to Maine for a couple of days with my parents. And, here's the thing about going to Maine. I don't eat seafood. Okay? So every restaurant is seafood centric. And, I get it. So my parents are like, hey, do you mind if we go for seafood again? I'm like, yeah, get another lobster roll. Live it up. Get some more whitefish or bluefish, whatever you're eating. I had, for 3 days, crappy hamburgers and chicken and French fries that smelled like fish. Tasted like fish because it's using the same oil. And I don't mind. I don't mind. It's a sacrifice I'm going to make. That's what makes me a good person. I go to a fish restaurant with you, I'll make the sacrifice. I'll eat the one non-fish dish that isn't on the kids' menu. Well, the kids get treated well. They get hot dogs. They get some fun stuff. Chicken fingers. Not the adults. Have a burger or have this. Chicken. Boy, this one place, the chicken was so overcooked. It was disgusting. It was like they cooked the chicken for the week and just left it in a heating pan. But no respect for the non-fish. Let me talk to the people in Maine right now. Let me talk to the people in the fish restaurants, okay? Listen, you got it good. You're selling overpriced crab cakes and lobster rolls and lobsters, and you don't care. You're prejudiced against people that don't eat fish. Sorry, I'm not going along with the theme of the restaurant, but I'd still like a decent dish. Could somebody open a fish restaurant and give me a decent dish, a decent salad, decent anything, an option? Besides, I'm sitting there like a little kid eating a hamburger and French fries. These people, they're cafelling. Never been happy. This is the best lobster roll I've ever had. There's clam chowder. No soup for the non-fish eaters. Nothing. Can't throw a tortilla chicken soup for me in there? Nothing. Fired up about this. And then I went, I'm sitting there and I'm relaxed. I'm reading. I still don't understand what life is about. I'm like, okay, I'm relaxed. I'm reading. I'm on a beach. I'm watching the waves. I'm in the moment. How's the market doing? And then, what about my career? I should book something. Am I relevant anymore? The thoughts are running. I went to a lake in upstate New York and I went on a jet ski and I'm like, yeah, this is fun for an hour. And then I was on boats. I watched fireworks on a boat. And the whole time I'm thinking, I'd rather be editing or, I missed the routine of my life. Like, I don't get, like, vacation is for people that don't like their lives or need a break from their lives. I don't need a break from my life. I love my life. I'm fortunate. The one thing I got right, was my career. I love it. My career brings me money and happiness. Okay? Like a vacation, I don't get vacation. So I tried to I was on this pond. And they had this, like, raft. Look, you lay down. And I laid on the raft. And I was, like, meditating. I was trying to count, trying to make it to 10, breathing. In through my mouth and out through my nose. I'm trying to... Don't think about the stock market. Don't think about, oh my God, I forgot to put on suntan lotion. Don't think about how I have to get on a plane in 2 days. Don't think I should put out another comedy special. Get these thoughts out. Just enjoy the moment. And I'm drifting. The slight current is taking me on a journey. And I open my eye for a second. I can see the house getting further and further away. And it's so quiet and peaceful, and I'm breathing. And don't think about you have to post another video to be relevant. Don't think you have to get that tax information to your accountant. And all of a sudden I hear, and I drifted to being in front of somebody's property that was blowing leaves. And I thought, I can't get away from it. Even on a vacation, the leaves are coming for me. I just hit the wrong button. What did I hit? What am I, a cheer camp? Da-da-da-da-da-da. I am on the wrong sound page. Oh, I was about to bring it home, and I failed again. And you know who loves that more than anything? Eric Stoltz. Thank you, Eric Stoltz, for mastering the audio, being a friend, being supportive of What's Wrong with Orny Adams. Episode 120. What's right with Orny Adams? I think if I have to vacation, what I need to do is just go to a place with no devices and just shut it off. But I was reading the book, A Gentleman in Moscow. I read a bunch of articles. But, you can't get away from the world. And here's another unfortunate thing. Politics is infiltrating every single conversation now. And I'm sick of it. I don't care. I want to look at you as a human being, not who you voted for. Hope to see you at one of my shows, ornyadams.com/tour. August 15th, Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa Beach. August 30th through September 1st, the Desert Ridge in Arizona, Phoenix. September 5th, Vegas. September 20th or so, Vegas. And 21st, 19th, 20, 21st in October in Vegas. Ice House, September 14th. I'll be at the Brea Improv, the Irvine Improv. I'll be in Port Charlotte, Florida. I mean, ba-boom! Let's do it! Let's keep this train rolling! I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Let's do this. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And we'll see you for episode 121.